What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Fortnight on the Isle. I'm a little bit irritated right now because an hour after recording this video, I just looked over at my direct monitor for my mic and realized that at the same time that, well, in my last attempted recording of this video, because yes, I did try to record this video once, my PC had an update and Windows decided to completely reset everything on my camera settings, so if that looks bad, I apologize. That's why, is because of the Windows update, but at the same time, it also disconnected my microphone. So I recorded that this entire video I recorded once, and I was actually really happy with it. I thought it was easily my best Fortnite on the Isle up to this point, but nope, no audio. I don't really have anything to say for the normal intro and IRL talk of this video, mostly because everything that I put in this section of the video in my last attempted recording, I decided I can actually put in the very last section of this video instead, but I do recommend you stay for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off this video immediately going into the bi-weekly reading, just like I normally do. I continued reading The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, and there's been a lot of stuff happening, revelations occurring that have been actually frankly blowing my mind. Been really enjoying it. The last time that I talked about this book on here, so 2 weeks ago, I had just barely started it again after about a month and a half hiatus on it. I've read about 500 pages since then, so quite a bit of the book for me, but I will admit, as a result of having to read or deciding to read so much of it, I am admittedly starting to get a tiny bit burnt out on the book, in the sense that I'm feeling a short reading slump coming on. Like, every few months, I tend to have like 1 or 2 weeks of a reading slump. It happens quite frequently. It's normal for me at this point. But I am feeling one of those coming on just because of like the monotony of the reading. Not because I'm disliking Count of Monte Cristo, not because I think it's boring, or because I think the book's monotonous, not because I'm not loving the book, because I am loving the book still. It's just the actual reading process has started to get monotonous in a way. So I'm thinking this weekend I might end up giving myself a little bit of a change of pace, reading short YA sort of middle grade, I guess, book that, like this, the first book in the Underland Chronicles, one of my favorite all-time series. I might read that over the weekend, since I know it won't take me more than just the weekend to read, just to give myself a little bit of break and to get me out of this sort of weird reading funk that I've sort of been in for a few days at this point with Count of Monte Cristo. I do still think I'll finish Count of Monte Cristo by the end of March. I'm fairly certain of that. As long as I don't have an actual reading slump this month, I should be able to do that just fine. But like I said, I might give myself a little bit of a change of pace with Underland Chronicles, or at least starting Underland Chronicles, just to change things up a little bit. But that's all I have to say in terms of bi-weekly reading. I've just been plowing my way through this. I don't really have much else to say beyond what I have said, so I'm just going to move on to the bi-weekly writing. This section in my first attempted recording of this video was fairly lengthy because I've been very passionate about what I have going on at the moment. But first off, I'll go ahead and say that at the beginning of this video, the last time I tried to record it, I did talk about Periphery and music a little bit at the beginning, because Periphery, one of my favorite bands, did release a new album, I believe last Friday at the time of recording this, and I've listened to something like 15 hours of the band in the time since then. And as such, I decided that I would go ahead and do a discography ranking for the band because of the new album having just released. So I have gotten some notes and organization and my actual ranking figured out for that, and did write the introduction to it at work today. So I have started writing a blog post ranking all of Periphery's albums. Based on what I would like to do in terms of writing it over the next week, I would like to be able to have it released a week from the day that this video comes out, at the very latest on the day that the next bi-weekly update comes out, but it'll be somewhere in that time frame. I'll obviously update you in the next video that has published, and I'll post a link to it, because this one's going to be quite long, and I'm actually pretty happy that I'm going to be getting into it, because I feel like I have a very different opinion than I feel like the general Periphery fan base does, especially fans who have been around longer than I have. But that's all I'll say on that front, and just go ahead and continue right on with the Reign of Ash, actually. In the last Fortnight on the Isle, I did mention that I did not get any writing for Reign of Ash done because I did like 8,000 words instead in video prep. So a bunch of videos that I needed to get recorded and edited and stuff early for the rest of March and April. This time around, I did get some writing done in the Reign of Ash, continuing stage 2 of pre-writing for it, just as before. If you need a little bit more explanation, again, stage 2 is just expanded summaries, writing 9 paragraphs that summarize each of the books in the sequence, which all takes place before stage 3, which will be the actual outlining process. Let me go ahead and switch to the charts of all of that for you. Where is the correct screen? Is this the correct screen? It is. So, in the last one of these videos, or maybe it was 4 weeks ago, I don't even remember at this point. I just know that I had already finished doing all of the expanded summaries for the Silent Rain trilogy, so that's over here that you can see on screen. This time around, I have finished all of the Heir of Time, so I wrote about 50... Oh, I thought it was only 56. It was apparently 5,800 words for the Heir of Time pre-writing, or stage 2. So that was what I was mostly working on the last couple of weeks, but I did get to start Hermit of the Vars trilogy, so I'm about 500 words in that, 50% of the way through the first book in that process. If I scroll down, you'll see kind of where I'm at with the whole thing here. So I've finished 8, I'm working on the 9th out of 19. So, you know, still only 44% of the way through the parts, 53% of the way through the words, as you'll be able to see all the way over here. That's just kind of what's going on for the moment. You'll notice that some of this did change. This part percentage chart and the word percentage chart over here are new to this spreadsheet, I suppose I'll say. You can see I've obviously done 100% of the parts for Heir of Time and Silent Rain because I've completed those, and that the words for them are over 100% because I met my target for each of those, and that I'm starting work on Hermit of the Vars, so that's nothing new. But I have been working also this week. A surprising amount of my time this week also went to building additional spreadsheet items down here at the bottom, so that I can have a real integrated worksheet, so that when I actually do start writing manuscripts for the Reign of Ash, then at the end of each writing day or session or whatever, I can enter in a handful of bits of data, but then all of the charts throughout the rest of the spreadsheet will be automatically updated, so that end of each week I can post updates or whatever the case may be. We'll kind of see how things go over time as I continue to work on the Reign of Ash, but that is where I am at currently. And really, when it comes right down to it, I'm just really excited and happy about the fact that I've been able to work so long term on this. The fact that I am in progress on such a notably large project for me is just, it feels really great as creator to be nearly 18,000 words into it between these 2 stages of pre-writing. Is just something that I'm really happy about, even though I'm just barely scratching the surface and getting started with all of it. It's just something that I'm really excited about. Like I said a dozen times in this section already, it feels really nice because, like many other writers, all of the other projects I've ever worked on at any given point in time have been ones that have, been basically stopped midway through, because discovery writing for a lot of people doesn't work in the sense that the shiny new thing tends to become an issue for writers. That is just a thing that writers struggle with. For me, the way that I've been able to go through this project has been really nice, because the shiny new thing is always the next part of the Reign of Ash, the next portion of what I'm about to write, the next thing that I'm working on in the Reign of Ash, rather than a whole new project. So I've not been getting distracted so much, unless, working on the spreadsheets and whatnot is getting distracted, which to some degree you could consider it as such. Actually going to stop this section here before I ramble on too much more, because that was something that the first recording of this video did, was ramble a bit too much in this section, and I'm instead going to talk about the coming releases. So the next 4 videos that I have coming out over the next couple weeks. This Tuesday on March 21st, I'll have a review of The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. On Thursday, I'll have a discussion type of episode, also about classics, but something titled The Merits of Reading Classics and Why You Should Read More of Them. So some sort of discussion episode where I kind of go into, like I said, the merits of reading classics, some of the things that I enjoy about classics, some of the things that some other people enjoy about classics, some things that make classics worth reading, even if your experience with them hasn't always been great, or if you haven't read very many of them. Next Tuesday on the 28th, I'll have a review of Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which I predict will probably be my least popular video on the channel, at least up to this point. Not necessarily because of my views on the book, because I don't think that book is horribly popular in the way that like 1984 Fahrenheit 451 are. Brave New World I don't think has as positive of a reception as a book as the other two do, or at least that's how I personally feel, because I didn't much enjoy it as a book, but I do think it's an important one. It's more my opinions that I express about that I briefly mention in certain themes of that book in the video that I think might be slightly unpopular, but you know, I'll still look forward to the discussion related to that video, because I think it's one that, like I said, it's a book that's very important. Then next Thursday on March 30th, I'll have another storytime episode, I believe the second one of them that I've done up to this point. This one talking about why April, as the month, is my reading nostalgia month for all intents and purposes. I go into a lot of the reasons why I just love the month of April and why reading in it has just always been great for me and why it's always been so memorable for me. And I look forward to seeing if people respond in the comments to that one with months that they feel personally are like reading nostalgia months for them, or even if or what months may be cozier for them in terms of reading. And I'm excited about that video as well. So basically the Thursday episodes over this fortnight are the ones that I'm actually really looking forward to, more so than the reviews. But those are the coming releases. As I mentioned before with the Periphery discography ranking, I will hope to get that out over the next couple weeks. I'll update you on the next Fortnight on the Isle when that releases. What even is the date of the next Fortnight on the Isle? The next one will be on April 2nd. So heck, I might even mention that in the monthly wrap-up. We'll kind of see what happens. Either way, I'll talk about that one a little bit more once it's actually more fully completed. Next up, let's talk about entertainment talk. I did mention earlier about Periphery with the music thing. I listened to like 15 hours worth of Periphery over the last week. I've been having a really fun time. I just feel like being a music lover has been great for me this past week, just because of how much I love Periphery. And whenever I go on a Periphery binge, I always have an amazing time, just because they're so unique. They do something so different, even within their genre, that I just feel like is so amazing. And even though I haven't been a fan of them for long, I'm just always happy about that. And I think that the new album is great, just like all of their material is high quality. But the other thing that I primarily have to talk about in this section is that recently I did get the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. So what that is 5 virtual consoles, I believe, that come with Nintendo Switch Online that give you access to a pretty large amount of games that were for the Nintendo Entertainment System, so the NES, the SNES, Nintendo 64, and I believe the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. I believe those are the 5 consoles. And then there's also the Sega Genesis as well. So basically 6 consoles worth of, old games that are just available to play on Nintendo Switch Online. So that is something that I'm really excited about, because, and this will go a little bit off topic, but it will come right back around, I promise. In May, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes out. I plan to binge the absolute heck out of that game with one of my, well, not like with my best friend, but basically alongside one of my best friends. And after playing a lot of that game, we actually plan to do discussions on my second channel, which I still need to actually get up and running with previous gaming VODs that I need to upload. And this friend has actually also been featured on this channel before in videos that are now privated here, but will go up on that second channel at some point when I get around to that. We will do discussions on that game, because that's a game that we're both very excited about, and especially for me, because Breath of the Wild was a game that was like, it was essentially like my first game personally Like, I had a Wii growing up and even played a couple Xbox 360 games growing up as well. But as such, I didn't really have any games that were like mine. My Nintendo Switch was my first personal console, and Breath of the Wild was the only game that I had on it essentially for several months. I played a couple hundred hours of that, and I still want to play more of it just because I enjoy playing that game. And so I am very excited for Tears of the Kingdom, and like I said, one of my friends and I will discuss that in sort of podcast style discussion episodes over on that second channel. And after doing all that, we plan to dive into older Zelda titles that are available on Nintendo Switch Online and some other games as well, depending on what we're interested in and even depending on what viewers, potential viewers of that channel would be interested in, so that we can do sort of like Let's Plays according to how Nintendo Switch Online operates together with some of those older games so that I can experience some of them for the first time, so that he can basically personally see and get a gauge on my reactions to some of them for the first time. So that'll be really exciting. But yeah, that's basically what I got going on. I know that's not going to be for a couple months, but I felt it warranted, mentioning, just because I did, like I said, I did get that expansion pack recently. So that's something that I am excited about. But actually looking at the timer on this video, somehow the recording ended up being the exact same length as last attempt was, even though I feel like I cruised through all of that material much quicker. How does that work? Oh well, whatever. I don't have much else to say. I don't have anything else to say at the end of this video. So thank you guys for watching. And again, sorry for my frustration at the beginning of this video. I was just really irritated that I'd recorded the video and it was like probably my best video that I've recorded in a long time, and it didn't work out because my stupid microphone problems. But oh well, things just kind of go that way when you're in the content creation sphere. So I will see you guys in the next video. Like I said, I'm excited for those videos that are coming out, but that is all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video.